Hey, yo, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Moviegoers live show. We're doing pretty well with this show, and I'm glad we're bringing it back. Um, Still trying to keep a narrow schedule for it because, I'm starting to get back into the swing of it. But I'm glad to be back. It's great to be here to talk with you guys once again. So, our guest on the line today is a brand new face to the channel. And I actually met this guest I'm going to bring in through TikTok. Yeah, I never thought I would actually do that in my life, but here we are. So welcome to the channel, KT. How's it going, my friend? It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's funny that you would say that about TikTok because I am not a TikTokian person. I just joined at the beginning of this year as part of my whole shtick is this. I have a New Year's Eve resolution to try and get back into my body by watching one movie every day and ellipticaling through the length of the movie. So I thought, let me try TikTok. And I feel exactly the same way. It's like, I guess I'm doing this now.
Yeah, I don't even know how that even worked for me because I haven't even been on there for even a year and I have over 800 followers. That's crazy.
Good job. Bon job.
I'm so close to being on there for a year, and it's like if I get on there for less than a year and I hit 1,000, I'm like, God darn.
Nice. Someone in the chat says that they dropped me a sub. I appreciate that.
That is the MVP of this channel, View with Drew.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Who also is a great guy. He supports pretty much a lot of us in the film community. So thank you so much, Drew, man. You're the best.
Awesome. That's what I'm so surprised by TikTok, because I've been on Instagram for for a while, and I've kind of found some people, mostly just people I already knew in real life. But the TikTok community for film, in particularly the horror community on TikTok, so supportive, so large, really just awesome.
Yeah, but sometimes they can be quite a handful because I remember the one post I did today with the Grinch, which is actually my favorite meme I get to do there.
Yeah.
Cuts. Said I was being too hard on VHS Viral, and I'm like, what? Try not to make me go insane after watching that film again. Because I'm not joking you, after watching that again, I almost went insane.
I have not seen it yet because I don't. There's sometimes because I'm running through the length of the movie, if it is both bad and slightly long, I start to get very Italian very fast, and I'm also from Queens, New York, so I'm running and I'm screaming at the TV, and my heart rate goes all over the place. It's not good for anybody.
No.
No.
That's why when I went to work this morning, I was like, okay, just keep my composure, just don't think about it, and then more shit starts to happen, and I'm like, I'm literally about to go insane.
But films are so subjective. That's kind of the thing about what we do when we critique or give our reviews of a movie. I'm saying what my opinion, coming to it with my likes and my tastes and my experience are.
Right.
I would rather someone tell me whether they actually like it or actually don't like it than try and be nice about it, which, we don't have to be rude, but you don't have to mollycoddle it.
Right. But some people are like, oh, hey, I think you're being too hard on this, just saying. But then it's just like, you're just being a dick about it. Don't do that. Don't do that. But don't worry, I've had that plenty of times.
Yeah. So. I can't imagine doing this for as long as you have. You don't wind up getting a little bit of that.
I think I've been on YouTube for about 3 years. So I have had quite a bit of experience with that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I've had people it was for my review for Insidious The Red Door, which sucks. Some people were actually kind of coming at me for my opinion on it, which I suggested a few other movies that people should see besides Red Door, because it's like, if you support this film, they're gonna want to make more. Supposedly it's supposed to be the last movie, but then it's like, if you give them your money, they're just gonna make more.
Yeah. It's like when Tom Brady says it's his last season. Yeah, sure, last.
And then he gets money, and I'm like, and just like, nope, I'm not retired. Like,
I'm not retired yet. You know what? Excuse me. The first Insidious had some really interesting ideas, and I loved the idea of saying that a person could be haunted instead of a house. And then it just kind of went off the rails. I'm surprised how many different ones came out of that.
I was morally shocked if there was 5 movies that came out of it.
I didn't even know the number was that high. Oh wow.
Yeah, but the lights were flashing in the hallway, so that means dinner's ready, I'm guessing. So you can go ahead and respond to the comments for a little bit, and I will be right back.
All right.
There we go.
Oh, cool. I guess I'm just hanging out with you guys for a second. I am seeing in the chats that people are talking about Roadhouse. And I have to say, I'm kind of excited about it as well. I do think that if anybody's going to pull it off, it's going to be Jake Gyllenhaal. And also, the source material is not, it wasn't like we're talking about making a quintessential director's film over again, like a Hitchcock movie. It could be done again. I just hope that it's done well. You know, it can't do another tongue-in-cheek. It just wouldn't work out. The Swayze performance is so important. And I haven't heard of Source Code, the other one. I guess that's another Jake Gyllenhaal thing that's coming out right now. I did just watch a very interesting movie today called Dave Builds a Maze. I don't know if anyone in the channel has heard about it yet. Oh, favorite movie from last year. I'll answer that in a hot second. Thanks, Zach Attacks. Thanks for throwing me a bone of a question here. I guess, you know what? Dave Builds a Maze is definitely going to be in my top 5 of this year so far. I feel like it came out of nowhere. I had no idea. I didn't know what it was about. It's about a guy who builds a cardboard maze in his living room while his girlfriend is away. And when she comes back, she finds that he is lost inside the maze and can't get out. Her and a group of friends go in to rescue him. And it is a horror adventure, kind of like an adult Goonies. Like it's really kind of interesting and bizarre and Terry Gilliam whimsical. And for a horror movie, kind of way more whimsical than you would expect. What made me do YouTube? I'm on YouTube a lot, actually. I'm on another show called Movie Night Extravaganza. That show has been going, I think they just had their 200th episode, and they do one episode every week. They started shortly after the pandemic started as a way to like deal with all of that. And they have me on as a frequent guest, and for a period of time, I guest hosted that. We talk about a different movie every week. You can watch Dave Builds a Maze in so many places. It's kind of insane. It's free on Peacock, Roku, Tubi, Redbox, and Crackle. So, like, yeah, guys, you're going to be able to find it wherever you need.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to take a look here.
Mm-hmm. They've been really helping me out. They've been throwing me questions. This is very thankful to have them here.
I'm glad you guys are doing that. That's very great.
They're good people. We were talking about Roadhouse for a moment as well. What do you think about it?
I love the original as a guilty pleasure, so I'm very interested in this new one with Jake Gyllenhaal being in the lead role because I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah. But let's just hope this is better than some of Doug Liman's previous movies because he's not been on the hottest track record as of late. So, but we'll see.
It is a real dice to roll. I don't expect it to be good, and I think that's almost the best chance a movie has, where I'm like, as long as it doesn't suck, and that's such a low bar.
Calling for me again, so I'll be right back.
No worries, no worries. Thanks for dropping me a sub, Zach Attack. You can also find me on the YouTubes here as Movie Runtime and on TikTok as Movie Runtime. I also host a podcast called What If I Don't Like It, which is because I have so many film friends that are kind of a little persnickety about watching some movies like Roadhouse, which are still good, even though they're not like high cinema. And so I get a guest on each week who is like an artist, a musician, or another filmmaker. And I get them to watch a movie that they have never seen but have avoided. Or I make them watch a movie with an actor or genre that they have avoided. And I try and get them to like it in spite of themselves. Oh, Hunter Hewitt, thank you for also subscribing. I appreciate that as well. Am I into the Dune movies? I am definitely kind of into these Dune movies, and I hear that Dune part 2, Dundu, let's call it, is even better than part 1. And I mean, they had me at the popcorn bucket. I love when a company is like, look, we know that this looks like a sex toy. We don't care. Chewy did that once with one of their dog toys that looks like a flesh pocket. I love when people are purient.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I have a review of Source Code, which I love Source Code. It's actually one of my favorite Jake Gyllenhaal movies. Let's see. Favorite movie from last year?
Yeah, last year. So I was talking about Dave Builds a Maze in a way that like I watched it, but movie that literally came out last year. Oh man, that's a hard question because I forget about when movies come out. What about you? Why don't you throw me some ideas while I toss around this?
I got like I think a pretty good top 10 list, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, I guess I'll just go down the line 10 to 1.
Okay.
Super Mario Brothers, because I'm a Mario fanatic.
That one was so fun.
I don't get the hate for that one. It's fun.
There's such hate, and I'm like, I don't care. I played all these video games. I'm glad that they mentioned all of them and Donkey Kong, but I also don't hate Seth Rogen, so.
There you go. Next one, number 9 would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Also a big fan of the Ninja Turtles.
Speaking of Mr. Rogen again.
I think he's Bebop, I think.
Yeah.
I remember correctly, because him and John Cena play Bebop and Rocksteady, and I think that's perfect casting.
Oh,
what you looking at, punk?
I haven't seen it yet. I should get on that. That sounds lovely.
Oh, it is so good. Then my next up would be Anatomy of a Fall. French courtroom drama.
Yeah, that was very good.
So good. Next one would be Killers of the Flower Moon. Also a big Scorsese fan. Like,
I haven't seen that one yet because it's so long, and everybody keeps saying I have to elliptical it as like a joke, and I don't want to do that.
And that's fine. Like, it's okay.
Oh no, I think I might just watch it on the couch.
That's a definite one where it's like I knew it was going to go to Apple TV Plus, but it was like I still wanted to go to the theater and support it. And thankfully, this was like my biggest worry going in, was if I had to get up and go take a bathroom break. Thankfully, I didn't have to do it. I was way too invested.
Yeah. I hear that Lily Gladstone is amazing in it.
Yeah, and it's looking pretty likely she might win for Best Actress.
I would be so remiss if that didn't happen that way.
My next one would be The Holdovers. Alexander Payne's new film. Might have a chance to win Best Picture. Who knows? But it's in pretty close contention with what I talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
It's great. Number 5. This one, I don't think enough people. Kind of makes me sad that a lot of people don't put this one on their list. Dumb Money.
Oh God, I watched it and I saw the documentary that it's so heavily based on that I couldn't get into it because I felt like I was just watching people tell me what I had already seen in the documentary. But it was very well acted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Paul Dano is fantastic.
The fact that he has not gotten a single Oscar nomination is a crime against humanity.
God, not even like Little Miss Sunshine. There's so many pieces. I mean, wasn't he also in There Will Be Blood?
Yes, and he was also in from a couple years ago, The Batman and the Fabelmans.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised.
Like those were two
Fabelmans
bangers in his career. Oh man, yeah, I love that one. Number 4 is the other one that is competing with the Holdovers for Best Picture. That would be Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one I think is going to win.
And I would not complain if that one won. Because it's fantastic. Beautiful cinematography. And no CGI. I'm like, how do they make it possible?
Mhm.
Like, so
Do you know
good
there's
on
a
them.
very, very interesting, you can get it on Canopy, which is like an online service for watching movies. You probably already know it. If you have a library card, you can watch movies through Canopy online. And there's a documentary called Radio Bikini, and it's about how we set off all these nuclear bombs in the Bikini Islands and taped them. And a lot of that footage that we have of actual bombs exploding is that footage. And so it's very sad. Please do
Oh,
understand it's quite sad, but interesting
yeah.
45-minute documentary that you could catch for free.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah.
Number 3. Oh, I wanted to. Can I talk about like emotionally devastating movies that made me cry when I watched it in theaters?
Yes.
That would for me be the Iron Claw.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't heard
That movie
anything about it.
broke me. Like,
Really?
it broke me. Like, oh
Oh.
man. Oh god, even thinking about it is gonna make me cry.
Oh.
Block it out. Block it out. Come on. There we go.
That's great though. I want to like that movie. I'm very interested in the actors in it, and the story sounds super interesting. I'm a SAG actor, so I get a lot of this. I get the screeners every year, and that was
Right.
yeah. Yeah. That one and Past Lives I didn't get, although Past Lives is just out on Paramount. I'm waiting for Iron Claw. I would love to see it.
It's great. Number 2, which unfortunately I didn't get to see in 2023. My theater didn't play it until this year in January. So as soon as they played it, I was like, I don't care. I don't care what it takes. I'm going. I'm going to see it now. And I saw it twice within a week.
Oh,
Because
wow.
it was that good. That being Godzilla -1.
Oh, I don't know if you can curse on this show, but F yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, you can curse. It's fine.
Good. Because I'm bad about it.
It's okay. But oh my, that one broke me too. Like, that one
Unexpected.
broke me. Like, that ending was like an emotional gut punch. Oh my god.
I didn't expect any of that from that movie, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, another Godzilla movie. I hear this one is good." Oh god, that wasn't ready. I forgot that was last year. God. I really hope they win VFX. I wished that they had been nominated for more, but I will riot if they do not win Best VFX at the Oscars.
That should have been a Best Picture nom. Like, easy. Like, it's terrific. Like, the thing I love most about that film is you don't even have to watch any other Godzilla movies before you even watch that one. It's a completely different movie than what you would expect from normal Godzilla.
Absolutely, completely standalone.
But my number 1, you just talked about it, is Past Lives. That's my number 1.
Talk about crying in a goddamn movie theater.
Oh my god, don't even get me started. God, that ending made me. Not only did that ending make me cry, but that's also a movie that puts a gigantic smile on my face. And when you can do both of those at the same time, it's like, yep, you win number 1 status. Like,
oh yeah, and like I grew up in Queens in a Korean neighborhood, and I speak Korean, and like, God, that movie, oh, so beautiful. I would say, for me now, looking at all these ones, the one that you didn't include that I would definitely say is possibly my favorite movie from last year is American Fiction.
That one was close. That one was like the closest one. Like, I just watched it a few weeks ago. Incredible movie. Like,
and that's coming from a directorial debut. Like, go fuck yourself. You're going to be that good out the gate. I mean, I know that's from the guy who did The Watchmen on HBO, Gordon. God, I can't. Jefferson, maybe.
Or Jefferson. I think that's my.
Or Jefferson, yeah. So good, and he also did Good Place, which is another incredibly well written piece of entertainment. But like, how dare you be so good out the gate?
Absolutely.
And Jeffrey Wright, I really wanted him to win the SAG. I voted for him last night. I mean, I understand why Killian won, but I really wanted him to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach has a good question here. What made you do YouTube?
I was saying to them that I have actually been doing YouTube for Movie Night Extravaganza a bunch, which is another show that talks about movies each week, usually on Tuesdays, unless they're doing something with Renee Roon, who is an Australian artist who does podcasts and talks about women in horror. That'll be on Fridays. One movie every week. They highlight it. They break it apart. It is like a couch chat show, so it's like 4 hours long sometimes. I'll put that caveat on it. But it always has a different guest, and sometimes I've been their host. I'm like the fifth member, maybe. I don't know. That might be saying much. They have to call me the fifth member. I'm the on-call member for when someone's sick.
Right, yeah. Let's see. Zach asks for favorite genre.
Favorite genre is easily horror. And then if I could get even more specific, space horror. Like Event Horizon. Okay. Like c'est magnifique. If you can put it in space and make it scary, I will almost always give it 4 stars, even when it's trash, because I just love it. Oh man, yeah. Aliens.
Funnily enough, my favorite genre is also horror, but honestly, I can't decide between either of these two subgenres of horror: slashers or body horror.
Oh,
I love body horror movies.
Like, people in the chats were talking about Cronenberg and body horror, and I have to agree.
Cronenberg is one of my favorite filmmakers, but like both Cronenbergs, David and Brandon.
I was going to say, did you see his son's new work? I haven't yet, but the reviews are coming in good.
I love Possessor. Like, I think that's the superior of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But Infinity Pool is really good, though. Like, I love, but like, the thing that really sells me about Infinity Pool is the concept. Like, where basically you can have a clone created of you if you have money, and they can undergo the death penalty for you. Like, wow, genius. Like, let's see.
That's interesting.
See. Yeah, talking about Dune. I heard about that while we were while I was out for a minute. Yeah. I'm planning to see Dune Part 2 on Thursday, depending if my theater plays it then. But if they don't, I'm seeing it Friday.
Yeah, you have to wait just a little longer.
I freaking love that first Dune. I love it so much. It's so good.
I hear Part 2 is even better.
Yeah, like, let's see. So Dune Part 2, freaking amazing. I think it will be a Best Picture nominee next year, more than likely. Like, because this is like the first movie right now of this year that is like blowing up the internet. Like, like it's just blowing up on Twitter. Like on Twitter, Instagram, on YouTube, whatever site. It gets blowing up, and I'm like, good.
Yeah. And the Academy has a tendency towards nominating the end of a picture that's multiple, like what they did with The Lord of the Rings. Like, they don't want to nominate the individual ones. They'll go to the last one and nominate it on behalf of the other ones, even if Part 2 wasn't as good as Part 1. But it is much better when the final part is easier to nominate that way.
That's more than likely, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think, because I've already been hearing about talks for Part 3. That's going to be adapting for the book Dune Messiah.
Oh.
Because Part 2 is the second half of the first book.
Yeah, yeah.
So, let's see.
Get that money if you can. Why not, right? If 2 did so well, why end there?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah, I'm kind of expecting it by this point. I mean, that one's definitely going to win it.
Yeah.
I did answer this question last night. Keep, watch, burn for comedy movies: The Hangover, Tropic Thunder, and Pineapple Express. My keep all the way is Tropic Thunder. Like, okay, I love Tropic Thunder. My watch is Pineapple Express. My burn is The Hangover. No, don't get me wrong. I love all three of them.
Yeah.
My favorite one is easily Tropic Thunder, because that's a comedy that easily pushes boundaries. Like, and it's like it's so unapologetic. Like they made Robert Downey Jr. a black man, and he even got an Oscar now for it. And I'm like,
yeah, it's pretty hard to do. I think mine is pretty damn close to yours. Actually, it's just I would keep Pineapple Express, watch Tropic Thunder, and burn The Hangover. And that's because, as I was saying to you before we started the show, I worked for dispensaries for God, since 2016. And I do love a stoner comedy, and I do love Seth Rogen. I'm also into pottery, and he started throwing ceramics. So I feel like I would. I always like watching Pineapple Express.
Yeah, it's great. Favorite film 2023 from Hunter is Oppenheimer. 2022 is Top Gun Maverick. I actually have the same one for 2022 as Top Gun. Like,
didn't Everything Everywhere All at Once come out in 2022?
yes.
Oh, that's my favorite one for that. I feel like that's just made
That was my number 4.
It made weird films more capable of being made, and I love weird films.
Let's see. Zach's favorite film of 2023 was Across the Spider-Verse, which I thought was great.
I keep forgetting about that one. That was good.
I thought it was great, but a little bit overrated in my opinion. Like, everybody hails it as like the greatest animated movie of all time, and I'm like,
oh, all time is a little intense.
That's a little excessive for me. Like,
no, yeah.
I thought it was great, but the cliffhanger just does not work for me. It doesn't work for me. Like,
I didn't know it was a cliffhanger movie, and
it
I watched
was,
the
yeah. Like, as soon as
movie.
it slammed to black and said "to be continued," I was like, at first I was like, oh, like my blood's pumping, and then after they announced that Beyond the Spider-Verse was being delayed, I was like, there's no hope for humanity. Like,
well, it was so rewarding for me though, because I'm a bit of a curmudgeon, and I saw it in a theater packed with children. And after the "to be continued" popped up, all these kids started crying, and all of these parents had to start to explain the concept of what "to be continued" means in a film, and how they can't just watch the second part right now. And so I was a little like,
right, yeah. I agree in some cases, but I think with more of Godzilla's budget, it was more impressive to me. But the creator's visuals are stunning.
Oh yeah. And everybody's sleeping on the creator right now. I don't really feel like the love is there from the Academy. And given the fact that there was that adorable video of the Godzilla VFX team hearing the news of their nomination, there's such a push to have them win, and that's their only nominated category. It would be like very egg on their face, very bad PR for the Academy to not give it to Godzilla when they could easily pass over the creator, and most people are not going to complain.
Right, yeah. So but yeah. Still waiting for Guardians to win visual effects. The effects were great. I'll just say this, Eric. The effects are great, but not as mind-blowing as Godzilla. Like, not even close. Unless
there's like a weird Nader situation where, because they're both in the categories, most of the votes skew off, and then Guardians wins because the votes went somewhere else. I sincerely doubt that happens. I don't think that's going to happen.
Another one that's in there that I'm glad to see in there is Mission Impossible, because I was like, okay, if they don't nominate Mission Impossible, we're going to riot. Like,
did you hear that Tom Cruise is trying to get into a piece with Inarut, the guy who directed Birdman with Michael Keaton?
Yes, I did hear about that. And I'm intrigued, but then let's also kind of take away some time to finish up the next Mission Impossible, because, which, I don't know, like, I'm intrigued, but again, I'm really nervous.
I think he's doing it to get an Oscar. I think that's the closest he'll get. Because they're not going to give him an acting Oscar for those Mission Impossibles. No way, no how. And he wants it bad.
It's like, but it's like, come on now. Like, people, like, he's not only a great action star, he actually has great acting chops. Like, besides with just the action. Like, the Mission Impossible movies, like, he's not just doing stunts in action. He's actually giving a performance.
And what was the one where he was dying and he kept coming back, that sci-fi one?
Edge of Tomorrow.
That's quite good too. I think
oh my god, I love that movie.
Yeah.
One of the best sci-fi films.
Yeah, I think he gets underrated a lot because of his crazy.
Yeah, because of the crazy stunts. He freaking jumped off a 1,000-foot cliff with a motorcycle.
And the whole Scientology thing, which is insane.
And he even dangled off of a rope from a helicopter. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but he still can't win an Oscar. They're gonna have to put him in something else.
Yes, and yes, American Fiction's great. I agree.
Yeah, definitely worth your time. Definitely worth seeing.
Do you think Charles Melton was overlooked for an Oscars for his performance in May-December.
I just went on a whole podcast about this. If you go to look at Movie Night, their last episode, I was their special guest, and boy, did we talk about this. Yes, I do think he was overlooked. I feel the whole May-December cast was overlooked, mostly because it is a movie about pedophilia. And so, they don't like to give those movies awards. Strange.
That's where you and I disagree. I don't think he was overlooked. I was not a fan of May-December at all. It's
very campy. It cannot hit quite right.
It is, but it's like they picked the wrong subject to do so. Like that was what I thought. I was like, okay, I don't see where the satire's coming in. Like I don't see it.
Like, as an actress,
so yeah, it just wasn't for me.
As an actress, a lot of the satire was in the acting and the portrayal of actors, which is another thing the Academy is not going to nominate, a satirical portrayal of actors in a poor light. So I guess I appreciated that second level, but I do think he was overlooked. He is very cute, and I think people would prefer he be cute than good, and that's hard for that actor.
That's probable right there.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is my favorite movie of 2023. Despite the story not being finished, it felt like a complete movie. Yes. That's why I give that one the pass for the Part 1. Because it's like, it actually it concluded everything cleanly. Like, it wrapped everything up good. It's like, there was no to be continued bullshit put in there. And I'm like, that's what Across the Spider-Verse wanted to try to do. But then it was just like, nope. See you soon, bitches.
And that's what the Lord of the Rings trilogy does. It's 3 parts, but you do feel distinctly wrapped at the end of each individual story, and that's not impossible to do, but it is necessary.
My buddy Mike's reviews and analysis. Mike, how's it going, bro? How's it going?
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Don't forget the stunt with Cruz hanging. That's all in Rogue Nation. That's right. God, that makes my hand. God, that makes me sweaty every time I think about that. Even like when he's climbing the Burj Khalifa in Ghost Protocol. Like, oh, God.
I just had to look it up. He is 61 years old. Bless his heart.
I don't know how he still does it. Like, that's the crazy thing. I really don't know how he still does it. Like, it just blows my mind.
Really good trainers, oxygen therapy, maybe, blood of virgins, probably. He was a vampire in Interview with a Vampire. Maybe that was actually real.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man.
But another underrated Tom Cruise performance that no one gives him credit for is Vanilla Sky.
Oh, yeah?
I love Vanilla Sky.
I have a hard time with that movie because I saw Abre sus ojos first, which is the movie that it is based on. And I had everything from, and I just felt like I wanted it to be the other movie, so it was just hard for me to watch it get remade.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but we're naming a bunch of movies right now. I thought he was very good at Interview with a Vampire, but people always want to be like, oh, he's just some action star. So I would love to see him do something else. Maybe do Mission Impossible and that Another movie at the same time, or release them out at the same time and be like, whichever one, I'm both.
Yeah, but I would say out of his most recent performances that are not action movies, people tend to overlook American Made.
Oh, I don't think I know that one.
Where is it? Oh, there it is.
I was also in Jerry Maguire. That's another one that people liked but forgot about.
Yeah, I love that one. So this is the one right here where he plays as a hustler and a pilot for a drug runner named Pablo Escobar. It's actually a true story.
Oh, yeah. So Pablo Escobar, the drug, yeah. He's, I think, the main character in Narcos, the show on Netflix.
I've heard about Narcos. I've never seen it. But this is about his pilot, which is, of course, played by none other than Tom Cruise.
Nice.
Great film there. That's one of the more overlooked films from...
Yeah, I would say I've never even heard of it. I'll have to check it out. Looks interesting. This is kind of...
Thank you. Minority Report. I love Minority Report.
See, this is kind of the theme of my podcast, What If I Don't Like It? Where someone will say, I don't like Tom Cruise. And I'll be like, have you seen? And then you list all the movies he's been good in. And chances are they actually haven't seen a majority of them. And you could be like, okay, sit down because we're watching Minority Report. And when it's done, tell me you don't like Tom Cruise again. And they'll actually change their mind because you're right. You can find sometimes actors get typecast. You're just trying to get a role. You're just trying to get paid. So the beginning of your career is like whatever the hell you can get. And then they get good. Like, I think Jim Carrey also gets slept on a lot. And yet he is really, really good when he gets a chance to have a good script.
I mean, he's a comedy genius. Like, that's what I remember him most from is obviously his comedy, because I grew up watching a lot of his comedies. Ace Ventura,
The Mask. Yes.
Yes, and Cable Guy. I don't care what none of y'all say. I love the Cable Guy. Like,
that's like Death to Smoochie. You know, I don't talk about 90s dark comedies that were just misunderstood but are actually classics.
Yes, like the scene in jail. Oh my god! Like when he's like, "I'm here for you," and I'm like, "Oh, Billy."
Yeah,
I die laughing every time.
Yeah, and he's very, very good. I think that people forget that comedy is a little bit harder than drama. It's actually kind of easier to get people to cry with you because crying is more of a universal emotion, whereas comedy is very subjective. So to be a deeply good comedic actor, you've already probably been a good dramatic actor, and the nuance that they can bring to especially dark comedy, I think it gets overlooked. And I think that if I had to say my second favorite genre after space horror would be dark comedy.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Jim Carrey ever since, like I said, I was a kid, and like even when I got more into some of his dramatic stuff, like Eternal Sunshine.
Even the Truman Show is a little bit more dramatic.
The Truman Show at one point was actually my favorite movie, but
it's a good movie. Yeah.
It's like I don't even know how to describe that movie though. Like I don't even know how to put it into words.
It's the kind of movie that like settles with you, where you'll wind up thinking about it in small moments for the rest of your entire life because it is so incredibly relatable. You'll be, getting ready in the morning, brushing your teeth, and you'll remember the scene where the camera's behind the mirror, or you'll just be, talking to yourself. It's so relatable, and yet the premise is utterly bizarre.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. But yeah, we've gone over half an hour and I haven't even asked one question yet. So.
And we're doing our jobs. It's, the chats are providing us with so much conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being part of this instead of just like watching us creepily in the corners.
We're like,
yes, like tensing your fingers. Be like, yes, good. Keep talking for me, monkeys.
That's great. So, first question. I always like to ask this one because I already know there's going to be a different answer for pretty much everybody whenever I ask this question. Name one movie that when you watched it, you regretted every single second watching it.
Oh, wow. That's such a specific. I thought you were going to be like, give me your Letterboxd top 4. And I was so ready for like a softball. I was like,
I don't go that simple. Just saying. I don't go that simple.
Do you know what? I have walked out of one movie in my entire life. And I think that it's going to be I think I have to answer this. You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm not a big fan of romantic comedies when they are heavily tropey, and I do not particularly care for Meg Ryan. And I remember and mind you, this came out when I was like 13. So as a 13-year-old who went to see a movie by themselves, because that's the kind of weird 13-year-old I am, I just stood up at about 20 minutes and left and was like, fuck this movie. So I guess I would have say I regretted every single moment of that. And then also there's a French movie that Petite Maman. I just watched it. I hated every minute of it.
Oh yeah. But
so French.
There were movies even from last year I got close to walking out of, but I stuck through it like a champ and I'm like, nope, should have just left. One of those would be for Meg 2 The Trench. I almost left. It was so boring. Like I wanted to leave.
Oh, that's a shame. Because I'm a big fan of How Did This Get Made, the podcast where they talk about how very, very bad movies came to be and they give you all the facts behind it. And the Meg one was a great episode of that show. So I can watch a bad movie with a lot of like, haha. But if it's boring and just bad, God damn it, that sucks. Especially in a movie where they spent so much money to bore you.
I think they spent about $185 million to get this sequel made. Do you guys not know that we want better movies than this?
Do you know how many movies Kevin Smith could make with that? How many Clerks you could get out of that budget?
Yeah, I literally wanted to leave. And like, even the shark sequences, which only occur in the last 30 minutes, I'm not kidding you. They only happen in the last 30 minutes.
That's the only reason I'm coming to this damn movie.
They only happen in the last 30 minutes. They weren't even fun. And funnily enough, they're all given in the trailer.
Oh, I see.
I'm not kidding you. They're given in the trailer.
I try never to watch the trailer of any movie because I don't need that shit in my life.
Yeah, so I had to suffer watching Meg 2 in theaters, but you know.
You also just suffered.
I ripped it off like a Band-Aid though. Like,
yeah.
So like I'll give myself credit for that. Like
yeah. And you just suffered to that VHS movie as well, right?
Yes, VHS Viral. I watched that again last night since I'm going on a little VHS kick since because on Wednesday I'm going to be getting my Blu-ray for VHS 85 since because I haven't seen 94 and 99. I haven't seen those two. I've seen I had seen the first two movies and Viral. I actually really enjoyed the first two. Viral just made me want to go insane. Like it was so freaking bad. Like,
wow, that's such a departure.
Yeah, the first two were really good, but then watching the third one was just like
same director or just completely.
They're all different ones.
Yeah, so, okay. That's probably it.
Because, well, at least we got a short in 85 that's directed by Scott Derrickson, which he is one of my favorite horror filmmakers.
Oh, yeah?
Sinister, Exorcism of Emily Rose, and my personal favorite of his, The Black Phone. Like,
that was a very good adaptation. Are you familiar with Joe Hill's work?
I actually own the Black Phone book, like the stories that Joe Hill wrote, yes. that also include the Black Phone story.
Yeah,
I read that and I was like, and even from what I saw in the movie, I was like, they got as close to that as possible. Like they were so accurate to that story.
Yeah, what they added, you needed to add to make it cinematograph, to make it cinematic and make it like long enough for a whole story. I think that whole book contains like story after story that is very interesting. I'm so excited by him. You know, I know he's Stephen King's son, and so it's kind of to be expected, but also he brings it.
Absolutely, and I don't know what it is about me, like what this says about me. But The Black Phone is one of my most rewatched films, even after 2 years.
Wow.
For some reason, I connect with that movie. Like, I always tend to go back and watch it. Like, and look, I know people are being like, "You've seen this movie so many times," and I'm like, I don't care. It still sends shivers down my spine.
Yes, that's a great question. What's a movie that you could watch over and over again, or what movie have you watched the most?
Oh, I think the one I've watched the most, probably Ghostbusters.
The original?
Yes, to clarify, the original, and that's the good one.
I'm actually in the all-girls one, in all fairness. I am a jogger in the background of several scenes. I did a day of background for them. They were very lovely.
I mean, the remake is fine, but does not touch the original in any way. It really does not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
And
like,
when I was going to say, I was also like the perfect age for that movie. So there's a nostalgia issue that might be at range for me because I loved watching that as a kid. I mean, many of the movies I liked had Bill Murray in them as a kid. I was just thinking about Groundhog Day and how much
Groundhog Day is a great one. That's one of my favorites as a kid.
Your dark comedies again. Another fantastic
Yes.
dark comedy.
I love it.
And Harold Ramis, again, from Ghostbusters. So we get keeping
rest
it together. Rest in peace, indeed. Yeah, it's such a loss. Such a loss.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one of my most rewatched movies, because there's like quite a few that I tend to go back and revisit, but then it's like there's other ones that I want to revisit more. But then it's like, yeah, I don't know.
For me, it would have to be a toss-up between. Well, I watch The Thing anytime it's snowing badly, and I live in New England, so that's probably a lot more than you'd think. And then I also love Tombstone and The Big Lebowski. If anybody ever wants to put those on, I will put them on. They're just really good movies.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Yeah, it's just like your opinion, man. Yeah. The number of things I can quote from that. I love the Coen brothers.
I love The Big Lebowski. Like, that is. I think I even have I think I actually got a T-shirt of The Big Lebowski here somewhere in my drawer. Let me find it out. Oh, there it is. Right
I have the sweater that he is wearing, the Pendleton sweater that he wears.
There it is.
Oh, so magnifique. I love that.
Lebowski bowling team.
I also love the shirt that they have that says Little Lebowski's Urban Achievers.
They should have a quote on one of the They should have like a T-shirt where it's a quote from the movie where it's like, "You want a toe? I get your toe by 2:00 with paint on it."
I had a sweatshirt that used to say, because I don't, if you're quite the nerd of a fan of it, when they subtitle it, they get the subtitling on this one particular scene weird when they put it on TV because they can't say what it is. So they have to put something, and it's supposed to be, this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Oh my God.
But in TV, when it airs, it says, this is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. And so I have a T-shirt that says, this is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps, because I love that kind of esoteric.
Funnily enough, I actually want to tell a funny story because one of my best buddies here, my buddy Fritzky, which he is a great dude. I've been friends with him for a couple years.
Awesome.
So a couple of years ago, he saw The Big Lebowski in the theater because they were actually doing like a little re-release of it. There was actually a couple of the theater employees were actually dressed up like Walt and the dude in the theater. There's a couple of theater employees, and their projector guy was falling asleep. So they came in and was like, "Okay, guys, we need a chant so loud to wake up our projection guy, so the kids next door watching DC League of Super Pets will go home with a few new words." So, and here it is. So I need everyone to finish the line. This is what happens when you, and then the entire theater screams out, "Fuck a stranger in the ass."
Oh, that's so fucking great. Oh yeah, that's such a good.
I don't know who other, like, what other theater can get away with that, because that is just amazing.
Yes, this is true. This is a slim thing to get away with, but when you can, you do it. Maybe the Alamo Drafthouse, they could probably get away with it.
Oh yeah, usually. But even speaking on that though, I also have a good friend on here that pretty much sees a lot of movies in the theater. Like he says that he sees everything, so it's like I get that. When he saw Aquaman in 2022 or 2023, Jesus Christ, can't talk. Speaking on Aquaman 2, so it's towards the end of the movie, and he's giving a speech. Underneath him in one of the shots, like right in the corner, you can see Discovery Plus, like product placement. I'm not joking you. It's Discovery Plus product placement. And at that moment, he yells out because, like, to clarify to you, nobody was into it. Like, nobody was into Aquaman 2.
Yeah.
So at that moment, he yells out, "Zaslav, you dirty whore!" And then everybody lost it. Like, I was like, well, I don't blame him, because if the movie itself was entertaining before, that's entertaining now. Like,
yeah, some of my favorite bad movies have been made so much better in a theater by someone just offering a little coloratura. I actually saw The Exorcism of Emily Rose in like Hartford, Connecticut. It was like the middle of the night, like an 11 o'clock night showing. And there's one scene where you can definitely tell she's like her first possession scene. And so, like, she's standing up doing the possessed act. And the woman in front of me goes, "Oh, shit. She possessed now." And I was just like, yes, this movie is better. I want your riff track to this movie. Let's do it.
That's great. I was trying to think of okay, I know we talked about this a little bit the other day, but I did see Madam Web last week, which, by the way, it's awful, but I had a blast watching it in the theater.
Oh, good.
But in the bad ways.
Like, yeah. I heard it wasn't even salvageable for that kind of viewing. I heard that it was just bad. I didn't see it. I don't go to see the questionable Marvel ones. I don't pay money to see those ones. I wait till they're on Disney Plus or something. They're also all almost 3 hours long, which is a lot of time to spend to be like, this sucks.
Yeah. But my friend and I were the only 2 people in the theaters when we saw it, so that was like the perfect way to just have the best of it.
Yeah.
We laughed like hyenas throughout the entire movie.
Oh, that's great. That's the only way to do it at this point.
Yeah, but I'm not going to hide the fact it's terrible. Like, I'm not going to hide that fact, because it really is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the best way to watch it, like, I feel like the best way to watch that movie is like when you're stoned. Like, and mind you, I'm not a stoner, but like, we just knew what we were getting into. Like we knew it was going to be bad, but we were like, oh, we're going to have the best of this.
You hit the subtext to what I meant when I said I don't watch those movies. I wait for them to come at home, because I live in Massachusetts where cannabis is legal and I am old enough and I can smoke in my house while I watch these terrible movies, and that's how I get through them.
Yeah. God, that makes me wish, like, when I was watching Night Swim earlier this year. Fuck that shit. It made me wish I was stoned while watching it, because oh my god, it was so boring. Like, but there's one scene in that film I'll never forget. Like, especially after it happened, like, I was just like, well, whatever. But taking it out of context, it's pretty damn funny. When they're walking around the house, it's dark, and then Wyatt Russell's like, "Marka." And then he pops out and he's like, "You're supposed to say polo." I was like, okay, that's stupid, but that's actually kind of funny.
I was watching a movie that a friend of mine was in, so I felt extra bad about this. And it was just so boring and so stupid. But there was one point where they made a joke of that kind of caliber, and it got to me, and I was just like, bah! I needed that. I needed at least one laugh. Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Night Swim was not the strongest movie to start off this year. I'll just say that. That was not a good start. Like,
oh yeah, was that your first movie of this year?
I watched. That was the first movie I watched for this year, and that was a really bad start.
No, start yourself.
But thankfully, the weekend after, I redeemed myself, which was when I saw my second favorite, but might go up at number 1 here at some point, but depends on Doom Part 2, The Beekeeper.
Oh,
I love The Beekeeper. Like,
really?
that is some of my friends hated it, and I was like, what?
I didn't see it because I heard it was terrible.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Like,
oh God, I love him. He is a lot of fun.
but he was kind of going through a little bit of a shit bomb last year after Meg to the Trench and Expendables.
I mean,
Which, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I just have to say, I preface this every time because it's like, I'm tired of it being called Expendables 4. They plastered it on the poster. It's online. It's Expend4balls.
You can't. I'm right there with you. You can't just put a number in the middle and pretend that's how this. It isn't Final Destination. Okay.
So that's why I call it Expend4balls, and that's the title of the movie.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was gonna say that he says yes to a lot of things. I think he's the kind of actor who says yes to a lot of things, and so sometimes it's gonna be better than others. But I do feel like he's having fun. He doesn't take himself super seriously. He's not gonna be nominated for an Oscar anytime soon. Although,
but at least like with The Beekeeper, it actually was looking like there was actually more fun being had in this one, because there was barely any fun to even be had in Expend4balls, because what they tried to do, mind you, Expendables 3 was PG-13. So that was kind of a little bit of a downgrade, but I still enjoyed the movie enough for what it was. I mean, it's silly, it's stupid, but I like it. So what was their solution to make Expend4balls? Make it rated R. And how do they do that? Terrible green screen, terrible, like a lot of fuck words, a lot of really bad, like gross out jokes, and some really, really terrible CGI blood. Like,
oh, that's stupid.
Like, look, I don't mind CGI blood as long as you use it like in a way where it actually works and you make it funny. Example, like Renfield from last year. Renfield had a lot of CGI blood, but they utilized it in a way where I actually was having fun. God, thinking about that makes me want to go watch it again. Like, I love Renfield.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit more of a camp area for Renfield than is allowed for the Expendables or Expend4balls. I mean, once you're getting into the fourth or fifth of a franchise of that kind of caliber, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, it's not going to be good.
I'll just say this: the trailers looked fine. Like, it actually looked a lot better in the trailers in regards to the backgrounds and everything. Because when you get into the movie, all the backgrounds that you basically see for most of it looks like it's filmed in front of a green screen.
So, yeah, I was just watching a short film called The Vandal last night, and it's called in-camera real-time technology, where the backgrounds are LED screens that can be manipulated by the director and the cinematographer and recorded with the actor in front of them, instead of what you're talking about, where the background is digitally rendered in after the actor's performance. And the threshold of believability on in-camera technology versus secondary FX is palpable. It's funny how much that really shakes you out of a performance when you're just like, are they even there?
Even thinking like about that, like when you see Stallone through the peephole in the beginning of the movie, you see him through a peephole. In the trailer, it looks like he's actually in a neighborhood. In the movie, it looks like he's in front of a green screen. And I'm like, way to make it obvious, movie. Way to make it obvious.
Yeah, and it's like 2020 what? Like, we can't get better than this kind of technology at this point in our lives?
That's what even the filmmakers of Jeepers Creepers Reborn thought. And that movie is entirely green screen.
Hold on just 1 second. My cat has got a can that's just going to make a horrible noise if I don't get him. Hold on 1 second.
No worries.
Aren't you terrible? Yes, I are. He's got like a little tiny can that he's got a can of pennies he's going to kick around for the rest of the interview in the background. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't want that.
So what are you saying?
Okay, I was talking about Jeepers Creepers Reborn, which I think is the worst film of all time.
Yeah.
All of it is filmed in front of a green screen, and you can tell because of the lighting.
That's
Oh
a
my
shame.
god.
Jeepers Creepers was my first ever date movie. The first ever Jeepers Creepers. I went on a date with a guy in high school, junior high. And like, I have such a special place in my heart for that movie. Don't go making terrible things happen to that franchise.
The first 2 Jeepers Creepers are the only ones that should even exist. Like,
It's
because
a
3 was
Godfather.
terrible, but Reborn was just the lowest of the low. Like,
When you have to do like, we're not doing a fourth, we're doing a prequel, it doesn't usually bode well.
right. But also, the Creeper doesn't even look scary in that movie. He just looks like a really bad bodybuilder with makeup on.
I feel like the creeper shouldn't be shown that much. It should be like just dabbled in there in little tiny bits, because if you show him too much, he's not that scary. And that's true of pretty much anything. Like the horror movie Signs or Signals, the aliens. Like, it was so scary until you saw that rubber glove come out underneath the door, and you're just like, this isn't that scary anymore.
Right. Like,
Signs.
what makes it scary is that you don't know who's doing it, but then it's just like, oh wait, nope, here he is.
Yeah. Well, that's the Hitchcock effect that they talk about with horror, where less is usually more, and the audience member will substitute something that is more scary specifically to them than whatever you're going to come up with. So,
Like, that's also what kind of made me terrified of Godzilla and Godzilla -1, because it's like he was a looming presence. You didn't see him too much. Like, whenever he was there, it was like, hey, I'm here. Baka you. Like,
see, this is interesting. Some people refer to Godzilla as he, and some people refer to them as she, and like, I don't know, it's just Godzilla. But it's interesting. I've never really stopped to think about it. Do you think Godzilla is a boy or a girl?
I never stopped to think about that either.
I know, right? Some people are
Like,
very
it's so bad to think about for me. Like,
well,
it's
he's got
never something that crosses my mind.
got thick legs in this recent rendition, so I don't know. It's bootylicious.
Oh God.
I did love that movie. That was so good. Did you know they re-released it in black and white?
I was thinking about seeing it in black and white, but they
Mhm.
were only doing late showings for it, like 9 o'clock at night. So I was like, nope, can't do it.
No thanks. Bums.
So that's why I saw the color version twice, and even thinking about it makes me want to go watch it again. Like,
Well, I'm sure when it comes out on Blu-ray, they'll have it like with a special feature where you can watch it in black and white as well.
I would like to have that on my shelf.
I'm
So
soon.
I'd like to have it on my shelf here pretty soon. Come on, studio, give it to me.
They're just waiting to figure out when so they can put on it like Oscar award winning on the outside of the case.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you that one.
So probably March 11th they'll list it.
Probably, but who knows? But I'm trying to think here for a second. Oh yeah, funny thing about Godzilla -1. So the second time I saw it, there was this mother and son sitting behind me, which they were kind of annoying for the film for a lot of it, and I was like, you're really trying to talk me out of the emotional side of the film? Fuck you. Like, and then in the last 30 minutes, guess what happened?
What?
They left.
Oh, don't threaten me with a good time.
And then as soon as the door closed, like I heard the door close, and I was like, you fucking idiots. Like, but also, funnily enough, I did see 2 old ladies walk out of Dumb Money in the last 30 minutes. Like,
dude, I can't tell you how many old people I saw walk out of Drive Away Dolls in the first 20 minutes.
I was still gonna see Drive Away Dolls. My theater didn't play it, unfortunately, but I'll try to see it. I'll try to seek it out when it hits streaming. Like,
it's good, but it's a sex romp. It's like a sex comedy. It's a
heavy
sex comedy, and I don't think that the 80-year-old people who love the Coen brothers who came to see the movie when I went to see it were at all aware of that.
I was actually kind of aware of that from the trailers, because I have got the trailer a few times in theaters, which, by the way, fuck that. if you advertise it in the theater, you have to show the movie.
Oh
That's
yeah.
always that's something that's just something that boggles me. So
Mm,
because
mm,
my theater has done that plenty of times where it's like they show a trailer for a movie and then they don't get it. They
mhm.
they did that for Drive Away Dolls, which pissed me off. Trying to think of other ones they did that where they didn't.
Did you
Um,
guys get Poor Things? That's another one where I feel like people were not ready for how much sex is in it.
Funnily enough, they did advertising for that a few times too. They didn't get that one
Ah,
either.
ah, that's a good
But
one too. For as weird as it is, you have to
possibly,
stick it
I'm
out.
saying this is a possibility. Maybe tomorrow, because I think it's supposed to be on digital tomorrow.
Mhm,
I might be able to watch it because
mhm.
because a lot of my friends have been like, dude, you gotta see Poor Things. You gotta see Poor Things. And I'm like, relax, people, relax.
I will put one caveat on it. It has kind of 2 different parts, and the first part can feel so bizarre and so uncomfortable that you wanna stop watching the movie, and you're just like, "This movie fucking sucks." And then if you make it to the second half of the movie, it kind of explains the first half of the movie and puts it in a position where you're like, "Oh, okay," and you can kind of watch it all together. Just that's my only thing is because I almost turned it off halfway through being like, "I guess I just don't know what everybody's talking about," because it was so fucking weird and uncomfortable.
But I also kind of know what to expect going in because I've seen the big three films from Yorgos Lanthimos.
Okay, so
Um,
then you're good, you're good.
yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
The
you're
Lobster, I've seen The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and The Favorite. I've seen all three of them.
fine, you're fine.
So I don't think I'll have a problem with Poor Things. Like,
Mhm,
no
mhm,
problem.
yeah.
That's one of two Best Picture noms I still have yet to see. Like that one and The Zone of Interest, I still have yet to watch.
Oh, so cannot I cannot abide by that film. I saw it in theaters, and I know everybody and their mother wants to say that it's a good movie, although who wants to say a movie that's about Nazis isn't good? I feel like those always have to be important. It was literally the most boring fucking movie I have ever seen in my life, and had I not been there to see it, to review it, I would have walked out. The first 3 minutes are blackness and almost silence to the point where we thought the projectionist didn't press play.
Oh,
It is
mm.
so fucking it wants to fart, hold its fart in its hands, and smell it and tell you it is good. That's how artsy it is. I don't know. I also feel like portraying evil in a mundane way and being like, "See, the Nazis had lives while they were killed." Like, no fucking duh, you idiots. You're just thinking about this, and you wanna make a whole 2-hour movie about it? Congrats.
Right.
It's Oscar bait, in my opinion. I feel like, Anatomy of a Fall was much better. Same actress, she was much better in Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, I mean, Anatomy of a Fall, like I said, was in my top 10 of last year. It's great. So
I'm not surprised you haven't seen Zone of Interest, though. It's almost impossible to see anywhere. I had to go drive to a special art house to see it.
it's on digital now. So I mean, I probably
Mm.
should just go ahead and just bite the bullet and just pay the $20 to just buy it because I can't rent it. It's the same thing I had to do with American Fiction. So, but American Fiction was so worth it. Like,
It was so worth it. I don't think you should do it. I think you should wait until you can get it for free. If I had paid to see it, I would have been mad.
probably even angrier than you would be now. Like,
Yeah, yeah, like, I mean, I
but
don't know, you do if
but
you're
it's
gonna watch
also
all
the
the
same
Oscar movies,
thing.
you watch it. Yeah.
It's the same thing for me with Madam Web. Like I had a few theater coupons, so I used one of them to watch that. So I didn't pay for
Mhm, mhm.
but I think the next one I think I'm gonna do that with, if my theater still ends up playing it,
Mhm.
Imaginary. I think that film looks god awful. Like
Oh, yeah.
oh, the teddy bear's supposed to be creepy. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, like
No.
child play kinda, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Child's Play actually made a creepy doll look actually pretty cool. Like that was a unique idea.
That's what I'm saying, like, I guess that they're going for something that we have liked once in the past, and it could almost be good because Child's Play, we enjoyed, but, like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a freaking teddy bear. Like,
You know,
how am I
Ted.
supposed to get scared by a teddy bear? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a,
Yeah.
like, I can't even put it into words. Like, other than just fuck that shit. Like,
Yeah, there's so many other
I'm
movies to
calling it
see.
right now. It's going to be bad. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that there's very much there. Sometimes movies are just kind of there to just fill space. Somebody will like it. Some 13-year-olds will enjoy spending some money watching it.
this is basically what level I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
I
so
think because the Megan movie with the little robotic doll did so well.
that one was good. Like, that one was pretty good.
They're trying to rip that. Anytime something like that comes out, they try and rip it any way that they can and get some extra bucks.
Well, I mean, Blumhouse made bank last year. Like,
oh, they always do. I mean, they're
I know they always do, but it's like they had 3 movies out in theaters last year, and they made bank with all 3 of them. Like, they had Megan, they had Exorcist Believer, which I don't want to talk about, otherwise I will explode. And I would say the best out of the 3, Five Nights at Freddy's, as a huge fan of the games. I mean,
and
hell,
it's a passion project for them.
I mean, hell, I'm clearly a fan. Like, I freaking have a graphic novel box set, and I have the movie novelization. I'm clearly a fan.
Clearly a fan. I enjoyed that one. Some people said it wasn't that great, and I enjoyed that. I thought it was very fun.
I saw that in theaters, and it was completely sold out theater. Like,
oh wow, that's a nice way to see that one.
It was a sold out theater, and it was packed out the gills with fans. Like, there was even a couple kids in front of me that were wearing Bonnie and Foxy masks to the theater, and I was like, you guys are clearly fans. Like,
all right, fuck yeah.
And also, let me see if I can turn it around if you can see it. Right next to my Gremlins poster, right about here, that is my poster for Five Nights at Freddy's. So
nice.
I actually got that poster for free when I was at the theater. I didn't get it in front. I didn't need to get it with Five Nights at Freddy's, unfortunately, which I would have liked. But
they usually give them out later after the fact.
And I literally got it 2 weeks after. Like,
yeah.
Which was when I saw the Marvels, which apparently I can't even talk about because, like, if you like it, you're a misogynist. If you hate it, you're a misogynist. What's the point of even talking about it then?
Don't touch it. Then talk about something else. Right?
Like, let me just say this. I like the movie. Done. I don't have to explain myself.
Exactly.
Because I saw 2 much better movies the week after. One being The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That was great. And my favorite horror film of 2023, Thanksgiving.
Oh, I have that on my queue to watch. It just came out on Netflix, and I intend to watch that tomorrow while doing movie runtime. I hear wonderful things about it. That's Eli Roth, right?
Yes, it's Eli Roth.
Yeah. I'm doing an episode on my podcast next month. We're doing Green Inferno. I do love that.
Green Inferno is kind of tough to get through sometimes because even though, like, let me just say this. I'm a gorehound when it comes to horror movies. Like, I'm a gorehound. But that one just felt way too real to me. Like, to the point where it's like, I can't even watch this.
Oh, I love the use of contrapasso and the fact that our protagonists are, it's clearly a political farce, and it's making such a wonderful use of commentary through what is often referred to as torture porn. So people don't expect these kinds of movies to have any kind of message or any kind of fun to them. And the fact that it has a message, and the fact that you get to funnily watch these idiots bite the dust in total. Like I said, it's such contrapasso. I enjoy that. I'm showing it to someone for whom their challenge is that they don't ever like torture porn, and they don't feel that it can ever be used to elevate any kind of message. And they're not really a big fan of Eli Roth. So we're going to try and see if we can get them to enjoy Eli.
I
are
mean, I
very
love
good.
Eli Roth. I mean, actually, I should say I was a casual fan of his until I saw
Mhm,
Thanksgiving.
mhm.
Um, because I like the first two Hostel films. I think they're pretty good. And
They're a lot. They're a lot. They're just kind of just gory for the sake of gory, I'll be honest. He gets better. He's like a fine wine. He gets
yeah,
better the more he makes stuff. And I think he was wonderful in Inglorious Bastards.
oh yes, also known as my favorite Tarantino movie. Hot take, but
Oh, hot take. So
that is my favorite.
there's
So
a Discord channel for movie night extravaganza, and one of the threads is called Unpopular Cinematic Hot Takes, in which people just come in and they say something that's like, I know this isn't popular, but boy, do I feel it in my bones. And either people will be like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," but for the most part, it'll shake out people in the group who are like, I also agree or feel that way. And then people can kind of bond on that. And I find that hot takes tend to do that.
I mean, I literally I have one of my friends in my Instagram group chat who is full of hot takes, and I'm like,
There's always one.
yeah, and I'm like, I mean, I have plenty of hot takes too.
Mhm, mhm.
Like definitely, my hot take for favorite Tarantino is Inglorious Bastards. Like everyone's like, oh, it should be Pulp Fiction, like it should be Kill Bill, it should be Django. I
For me,
always go back to Inglorious Bastards. Like
now I'm Res Dogs are true romance for me.
Okay, if I talk about films that he wrote, True Romance is number one,
Yes, he didn't
easy.
direct True Romance, so that is the caveat. That's why I have to follow up with Res Dogs.
Right, but I think out of his directing credits, my second favorite would be Reservoir Dogs. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, so good. Such a good cast. Such quotable movie as well. Yeah.
yeah,
That's in my top 4. That's my Letterboxd top 4.
yes, some good love for Reservoir Dogs. I'm happy to see it. Like, it's
Mhm.
so good. I mean, I did. I think for my birthday, yeah, that's right. For my birthday, I did buy the steelbook from Best Buy with the slipcover with that, like when you take it off, it's like the ear coming off.
I still
That was
have my
perfect.
I still have my VHS copy that I got out of the 99-cent bin at Blockbuster. So I like to keep a copy of it in every kind of media because it is one of my favorite movies. That is great though with the little ear. I was
I
going to
think I
say
might
that
still have a VHS copy of it actually.
yes,
Great,
the trick is to also keep a VHS player, which I do as well.
which I actually still have, believe it or not. So
Thank you. I can't believe I'm getting to a point in my life where I'll hand somebody a DVD and I'll be like, "Yeah, here, you can watch the movie. I got a copy of it." And they'll be like, "I don't have any way to play this."
because they're just like, oh yeah, wait, hold on, where is it? There it is. Click, 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 click. I don't know what to fucking watch. They're like that, and it's like, then go buy your damn movies, like,
Yeah.
because
No,
it's like,
I'm holding a movie and I'm telling you to watch this movie in your
I mean,
hand. Watch it.
why do you think I have so many goddamn movies behind me?
Mhm.
Like, let
And
me see
God
if I can
forbid
find one where it's like I would hand it to somebody, and then I'd be like, look, I don't care if you don't have any way to watch it. I'll lend you my player. Just go watch it.
yes,
Like,
I'll lend you my old PlayStation.
um, yes. I'm trying to think of one right here.
Did you hear about the
Way too many goddamn
combination of
movies.
Crunchyroll and Funimation and how all of the digital downloads on Funimation got lost, or you don't have them anymore because you're now getting rolled into Crunchyroll?
Oh wow. Like I'm not familiar with that because I'm not like the biggest anime guy to be per se,
Mhm.
but
It's a
interesting to hear the link.
big hit to people who are anti-physical media because it's the example of how you can lose your digital copies in your what you believe to be like, "This is my online movie shelf," and you're like,
Yeah,
"Sorry,
and
kid."
so like let me just show this one. So it's like here, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna lend you my copy of Blood Diamond.
Mhm.
Here, if you don't have any way to watch it, take my player for a week. Watch this freaking movie, and then you'll know why you need physical media.
Mhm. Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
oh my god, I don't even know if I even feel right even saying this. Like, for how many Blu-rays I even own in my collection because I own so fucking many.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
crazy. I have over 1,400 Blu-rays.
Jesus Christmas.
I
That's a lot.
know.
I don't
I
count, so I
can't
can't
stop
really
myself
say.
by this point.
I also get sent digital screeners, so I get I have stuff that's only supposed to exist online, like television shows that were never produced for DVDs. I get those as well, so I have, like, just a lot of it's very thin. They're in the little paper cardboard, so it's hard to count on my shelf. It's a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, but I use Letterboxd to help me keep track of how many movies I have. So
Thank God. Letterboxd is so great that way.
yeah, so that's why I use those. And whenever I buy anything new, like if I get it online or if I buy it in the store, I just go on my Letterboxd and I add it right in.
Add it
So
right
that
in.
way I
That's
know.
awesome.
That's also a good way to help me keep track of how many movies I have because,
Mhm.
or I should say, which ones I have because otherwise, I'll buy a certain movie and then it's like, I'm like, oh shit, I have it already.
Yes, yes. Such a good deal
Thankfully,
on
I
this
haven't
movie.
had
I
that
guess I'll
incident
grab
happen
it.
yet. Like, thankfully, I haven't had an incident where I bought a movie I already own because I've been gifted movies I already own, but I
Yes.
got rid of my other copies because those are the ones that I bought for myself because I kept the ones that were gifts to show that I'm thankful.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. That makes sense.
so yeah, I mean, but also I do upgrade movies from time to time. So it's like whenever I
Mhm.
upgrade some of these, I do get rid of my other copies,
Yeah,
but
those
others I
are
do keep for the collection. Like, where's it at? Oh, here it is. Like I have two different copies of the Flash because
mm,
I like both covers, like the standard 4K and the Steelbook.
mhm.
So I kept both of them.
Nice.
That's the kind of collector I am, and I'm like, people do not know the pain.
No,
They
they
do
do
not
not.
know the pain.
Maybe shoe collectors like sneakerheads might kind of know the pain.
Not really knowing the pain of having to alphabetize all these sons of bitches. Like,
No,
because
no.
that's the way I do it.
Do you alphabetize by the name of the movie, or do you alphabetize in genre and then by name?
I usually just do it. I usually just do it by name. Like,
That makes the most sense, yeah.
because from this starting off on this shelf, I start with numbers. So
Mhm,
because that's usually the like perfect starting point for any collection, I always start with numbers.
mhm,
Then goes from A through Z, and then on a separate shelf, I have my TV shows because
mhm.
I think because if I just culminated the TV shows like into one shelf with all these movies, I would be here forever. Like
That's too much. You might as well keep them separate a little bit.
because it's like I also own quite a few TV shows too, like on Blu-ray because I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'll stream my shows, of course, if I want to be able to, think about buying it. Like if I want to think about buying it in the future, I'll stream it first.
Yes,
Like
because series are quite expensive to purchase.
yeah, I don't know because I did buy the complete series box set of the show Rescue Me with Dennis Leary. That was about like I spent about $45 on that. Thankfully, though, it was 7 seasons.
Oh,
So
that's, $45 for 7 seasons. I've seen some shows do $45 for single season, so you're doing fine with that.
yeah, but I mean,
Still a
but then
lot.
at the same time, it's like Jesus Christ, like it doesn't matter how popular the show is. Cut back your damn prices.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, supply and demand. There's not as many people buying physical media, so the demand is low. The price goes up.
I mean, speaking on physical media, that's why when I go out tomorrow, I might be able to stop in at a Walmart and pick up a few things
Mhm.
because a few movies are coming out that I have been waiting to pick up, which are Next Goal Wins, Taika Waititi's new film. I actually just watched that. It was actually pretty good. I liked it.
Oh, I've been dying to watch that. I keep forgetting about it. I love him. He is really I don't think there's really much of anything he's done that I didn't enjoy. Even Thor was quite good.
I think Ragnarok's the best. Like that one is like.
Yeah, and you would think that, like, how's he gonna put his directorial touch on something that's so clearly, like, marketed and industry complex, like, oh, no, he still did it, it's fine.
Yeah. There's that one. I should be getting this one in the mail tomorrow. Depends on the weather. Dream Scenario.
Oh! Oh! Almost went to see that in the theater, but I got sick. I got food poisoning. Couldn't go that day. That sounds so
Damn
good.
it. Oh,
I missed it. I'd dying to see it.
it's so good.
I love Crazy Cage. I love what he's become. I watched Moonstruck, excuse me, on Valentine's Day because I was like, you know what? You know what's a great rom-com? Some Crazy Cage.
Yes. I love that. And so I get that one on Wednesday. Like I said, I'm getting VHS 85. But and
hopefully
then,
not as bad as VHS Viral. Fingers crossed.
I know it's not going to be. Like, I already know it's not going to be.
Okay,
But we also got Migration, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed. I know a couple of my friends didn't really like it all that much. I actually thought it was a lot of fun.
Didn't get to see it yet.
I think if we're talking about like solo Illumination movies, I think that's actually my favorite. But if we're talking like Illumination, like overall, even with collaboration, that's definitely Mario Brothers. Like,
oh, huh.
I don't care what anybody says. I still consider Mario Brothers the Illumination movie. It counts. They helped with the animation. It counts.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see that.
So there's that one. And the one that I've been waiting for its physical release since after, like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, give me the physical release now. That is none other than Wonka.
Oh, I'm gonna have to miss me with that so hard. Oh,
I loved it.
Yeah, I don't like musicals. And I really loved Gene Wilder, so I did not. I feel like they made Timothée Chalamet look like Gonzo from Muppets Christmas Carol, and I just couldn't get over that. And I also didn't know it was gonna be a musical, so I got like hot, and I don't enjoy that. But I'm glad you did though, so you're gonna get a copy of it.
Right, and plus also the week, and also plus during that week when I got back from vacation. I was sick. Like I was actually really down with a cold. A couple of days later, I tried to go back into work. One of my coworkers tells me that I had to test for COVID, and I'm like, God fucking damn it. I tested positive, but then the night I go to see Wonka, I do a quick at-home test, and I test negative. So I'm like, thank Christ, I'm going. Like,
okay.
So apparently it was a false positive test, apparently.
Sometimes the tests can be expired and they will do that. So you have to be a little bit careful. You want to test twice like you did. That's how you know.
Like, I was still kind of sick when I got back to work, but then it was like, after a couple of days, of like just resting and, trying to make sure I'm better, I tested negative. So then I was able to go. So I don't know what I was like,
maybe you got over that threshold of contamination. You tested late in your period, or maybe you just had another cold and took an expired test. Still can get normal.
That's a possibility because even while I was on vacation, I was actually still feeling a little sick. I was still I was just getting that cold, and like I could barely even talk. Like my voice was just leaving me. Like,
oh wow, laryngitis. That's hard.
It wasn't like to a point like where my throat just hurts. It was just my voice. Like anytime I would talk, even it just was not working for me. So yeah, by that point it wasn't very good. But thankfully after that I felt better. But apparently their policy was I had to stay home from work for 5 scheduled days.
Well, you're working with old people who are, going to be susceptible and extra, careful around those kind of people. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, didn't you guys take your tests? Like, come on now. Like, why does that have to be on me? Like, so moving on. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, let's talk about movies though.
Yeah, but I wanted to tell that story because I think that's why that film kind of hit me a little bit harder because
Yeah.
Because I was just going through so much by that point, to a point where I was like, I need something to cheer me up. And so, but yeah, well, God, I can't talk.
It's okay. You're remembering the laryngitis.
Yeah, my brain has just been all over the place today, so it's like I can't even think straight. Like not even just for one thing.
Got any more questions for me?
Oh yeah, I do. I was trying to think of the question here. What? Okay, this is also another question I always like to ask because I like to hear the stories behind it. What is your worst theater experience that you've ever had?
God, it's so funny because it was the worst theater experience, but I actually own a copy of the film I saw because it was such a good film, even though the experience was terrible. I still enjoyed it. It's for a Russian film that was, well, it's kind of American Russian. It's not specifically in Russian. It was part of the Abandoned Film Festival, which is a bunch of kind of shorter horror films that went around. God, it must have been like 15, 20 years now. Oh no, it's 8 Films to Die For, and the film was called Abandoned. I watched it out of the correct aspect ratio because the person who was in charge of the, putting it up, put it so that it was too thin, and they fucking left, and there was no way to get them to change it. And they also put it on way too loud, so I had to put earplugs in to be able to stay to hear it. But it was like, this film festival was only happening in this one theater on this one day. So if you wanted to watch the movie, you had to stay. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was such a good horror movie about this woman and the grief of going back to this house that she kind of grew up in the woods. It's worth to check. I don't want to tell you too much about it. You can get it. It's worth checking out. It's much easier to get now than when it came out.
Oh yeah, I guarantee.
And don't listen to it at like 25 volume.
Yeah. Thankfully, I haven't had that kind of incident happen yet with somebody just walking out of their job and they're just turning up the entire sound system to a point where I just go deaf. But for me personally, I think I have, well, 3, I can tell. Because sometimes people can be a little too disrespectful. So the first one that really comes to mind, and this is easily my worst theater experience I've ever had, is with the new Firestarter, which, by the way, it's a terrible movie, but I still had a really bad theater experience. There was these students that were sitting in the back row that would not shut the fuck up. Like, they would not shut the fuck up throughout most of the movie. And even the manager even came in a few times, and I think a few of them even got escorted out of the theater, and I was like, well, good riddance, motherfuckers. You deserve it.
Yeah.
And then during the third act of the movie, this guy goes on his phone and starts texting me, and starts texting, like, and it was like beaming, like going behind me, and I'm like, do you fucking people not know that you're in a theater? But yeah, that was the one where it was just like, oh my god, people. The next one that comes to mind is this one might shock the room here a little bit, but for Avatar: The Way of Water, there was these 3 guys that were about my age that were sitting next to me. They were talking and going on their phone throughout most of the movie. And that movie is 3 hours and 10 minutes. Think about that. 3 hours and 10 minutes of having to sit through like blah, 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 going on phone, texting.
I actually can't see any of the Avatar movies. I have a neurological disorder. I'm not allowed to watch them. They would cause me to have a kind of like strokey seizure.
That's okay. Like, I'm not gonna get too crazy about that there, because I mean I'm not like on a high for those movies, to be honest, but it's whatever. And then the last one that comes to mind is The Little Mermaid, the newest one, with Halle
Oh, I was
Bailey.
gonna say, like, you're not old enough to have seen The Little Mermaid in a theater. Oh wait, there's a new
No,
fucking one.
I'm
I was
not.
so confused. Sorry, I forgot they
No,
tried to do that
it was the newest one
show
with Halle
again.
Bailey. So
Yeah, how was that?
I enjoyed that one actually quite a bit. Like
Okay, okay.
I haven't watched it since, but I mean I remember liking it in the theater.
Mhm.
But there was this guy, there was this family that was sitting next to me. Their daughter, like she was like first grade level, and she was laughing so annoyingly to a point where I was like,
Mm.
"Can you not?" Um,
Mm.
and then this guy that was also sitting next to me, he forgot to turn his ringer off on his phone. His phone rang, and it was so loud that I could hear it, even though he was like, I don't care if he was sitting next to me, I could still hear it.
Mhm.
And he answered in the theater.
Oh no, maybe he was getting his cancer diagnosis, and it was utmost important.
But I'm like,
Um,
you couldn't have stepped out in the hallway to answer it? What the fuck?
So this is part of the reason why I try to watch movies at home now, especially because things are coming to streaming faster than ever before. I love going to a movie theater, but more often than not, you wind up with these kinds of experiences, and it's very hard to enjoy the movie when that happens.
Thankfully, I haven't had those experiences as of lately,
Great. Awesome.
minus the Godzilla minus one experience I was telling you about a little earlier.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's like the latest one, and it's like, whatever. I forgot
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
Just the only part that's even notable to me is when those two walked out. So that's like the only notable thing about that experience. But
I will say I had a small child bark through most of like The Haunting in Connecticut or some other bullshit exorcism story
oh
where this
fuck that movie.
random the kid was like didn't belong to anybody, sitting alone, 8-year-old kid at an 11 o'clock showing, just barking for most of the movie. So yeah, there's some weird stuff you can experience.
I People are terrible when it comes to movie theaters. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
thankfully, I don't deal with that as much anymore. So
Mhm.
since I have a friend who works there, she's cool with me. So it's like we're all good there. So,
Mhm.
but and I try to make the best of it when I go now, since because I go with my best friend for most of it
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
Um, but I think okay, but there's a few that I did go without him where I was like he should have gone with me. Well, like obviously Godzilla minus one, he should have went with me to see,
Mhm.
because I freaking saw that shit twice
Mhm.
by myself, and
Mhm.
oh man. But I'm trying to think of, there was one I saw earlier this year that had a pretty packed crowd, and I was actually surprised for the kind of movie it was, because my theater mostly gets packed for horror movies. Like
Mhm.
it was packed for Scream 6, to clarify. It's
Mhm.
packed for Scream 6, Evil Dead, The Nun, The Nungery 2. Ugh, can't
The
even talk about that one
Nungery.
either.
That's a great title.
Shout out to my friend Grant for calling it that. Oh my
Nice
god,
job, Grant.
I can't stand that movie. The Nun 2. I can't stand
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, again, you can miss me with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um it was also packed for, like I said, Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a sold out crowd. I'm trying to remember what else was packed though for some reason. Of course, Night Swim was packed. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
that was that was just depressing. But the one that I saw in January that was supposed to come to my theater in 2023, but they got it in January, thankfully. So I was able to see it, was Anyone But You.
Oh, I've heard horrible, horrible things.
I'm gonna come out and say it. I loved it. Like,
Oh, you're the first person to say so. Some more words.
I loved it. It was
haven't seen
It was
it.
also a packed theater, also, which I was actually really shocked about.
Mm.
But the funny story with that one, the next day I go to see The Boys in the Boat from the new film from George Clooney, which was honestly not very good.
Oh.
It was pretty bland.
Nah.
Like that was one of those biopics where I was like, I just couldn't forgive a lot of its blandness, to be honest. Like it was just so bland.
Say no
Like,
more. It's a biopic. Biopics are bland at best. They're often just Oscar
but if
grabs.
you get like one that has a really interesting story, like I say interesting story, like Gran Turismo, like that was actually a really interesting true story. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't know about that at all. But then when you get films like The Boys in the Boat, it's like I could watch a documentary on this and be more entertained.
That's how I felt about Dumb Money. I felt like the documentary did just as well and was more entertaining. As well as the acting was, the documentary did it already. So yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Even with a good film, you're like, eh.
Yeah. But then try to think here for a second. So I got there pretty early, and Anyone But You had just started. Like it was the opening scene in the coffee shop. Not spoiling too much, but that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie that made me laugh my ass off in the theater. So I still had time. So when I snuck in there for a couple of minutes and watched that scene again because it was so funny. So technically I've seen it twice, but not really. But I've
Like
seen that opening scene twice.
1.2 times.
But I mean, I love that movie regardless. So it's like I wanted to sneak in and watch that because
I'll definitely check it out when it hits streaming. I have heard so many varied things on it, but to the point where like I think when enough people tell me something's really terrible, I'm curious and I have to check it out. I'm like, well, I kind of want to see this now. What do you think is like when you touch the plate because the waiter has come by and he tells us you don't touch it's hot, and you're like, I just want to see what you think hot is.
Yeah, I get your point.
Mhm.
Also, funnily enough, speaking on what I was talking about a little bit earlier about sneaking in, when I saw Elvis, I also got there really early. Um, the black phone was wrapping up, so it was in the final fight scene between Finney and the Grabber.
Mm.
When when he goes through that when the Grabber just falls through that big giant hole and twists his ankle, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, but then at the same time, even when I watch it, I'm like, oh, like God, that hurts.
Yeah,
Like,
Ethan Hawke is a wonderful actor, you know.
so
He's
yeah, like, so
very
again, I
normal.
got there early, so I stuck in to watch that scene because that's actually my favorite scene in the movie.
Mhm.
And I was like, I felt just as satisfied watching that scene again in the theater as even watching it the first time because it's like, dude, the Grabber is a terrible person. Like, it's
Mhm.
like, just take this fucker down. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, like, don't mind that. But yeah, I had to sneak in to watch that. It's fantastic.
Have you seen Ethan Hawke in the new? It's a 30-minute short that came out on Apple TV. It's called The Strange Way of Life.
I have not, which I will because I love Ethan Hawke. Like he's one of
He's
my
in it
favorite.
with Pedro Pascal as well. It's quite good.
I,
It's only 30 minutes of your time as well. Yeah.
yeah, I have to check that out soon.
Hmm.
But so let me try to think of another good question.
Yeah, I got about 15 minutes before I'm going to have to wrap this up. I got to get out of here at 10 now. I do.
Oh no, that's all right. But one I can think of here is what are two movies where like that no one talks about that you would absolutely recommend? Like,
That's so hard because I'm so many friends. I'm friends with so many weird ass film nerds that were always talking about goddamn movies, you know? Um, I guess yeah, I'm gonna hit you with some anime because like you said earlier, a lot of film people are Not really into anime is usually what I hear, coming close to like, I don't do anime. A lot of people think anime is a series-based thing, and I'm going to tell you two films. And I think that this genre gets overlooked for being considered not cinematography, not put together very much as just like for kids. I want to say Perfect Blue, which is the movie that Darren Aronofsky ripped off to make Requiem for a Dream. Like he even ripped off shot for shot aspects of that anime. It is a wonderful example of a descent into madness, and is the closest I've ever come to being like, I don't know who to trust in this story. I don't know which character to believe at all anymore. And then the other one I would tell you to watch is going to be Akira, just because it is visually astounding, and it is, it's again sci-fi horror. I feel like those are slept on a lot and really, really great movies. With a close second of Ghost in the Shell. If you enjoy those, go hit Ghost in the Shell as well.
Funnily enough, I've actually seen Ghost in the Shell and Akira. I have seen them both. I have not seen Perfect Blue. So
a lot of people sleep on that one.
I need to see it though. Like a lot of my friends have been telling me I need to see it. Like
if you saw Requiem for a Dream, you accidentally already saw it.
Damn it.
Watch it. It's very good. It's actually, it's kind of like, it's to be honest, it's Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan combined together. He kind of split them out. And he approached the director of Perfect Blue for permission to adapt it into a live action and was told no multiple times. And so to see him rip it off in that fashion is even more upsetting, especially because I'm a big fan of Darren Aronofsky. But when I saw Perfect Blue, I was pretty outraged, but also like utterly floored by how wonderful it was put together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, but there is one anime film that I know is well beloved that I have actually never seen. That being Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh yeah,
I have never seen it.
Yeah, I mean Miyazaki is not. You're never really gonna miss with a Miyazaki. I saw that one when I was accidentally robo-tripping. So I was sick and I had a fever and I just took too much Robitussin. It just happened that way. So it was extra magical for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I love Hayao Miyazaki. Like, I really do. But like, that was one of the ones where I missed it, and I'm still kind of kicking myself in the ass for it. Like,
you should see it. Yeah, it's easy to get. Absolutely. You might also like Porco Rosso. Have you seen that by him? I feel like that one gets missed.
I have seen Porco Rosso. That's a fantastic movie. Like
Michael Keaton as the voice as well. I enjoyed the English cast on that.
That's a great one. But one of my favorites from Studio Ghibli, speaking on that, is a little one called From Up on Poppy Hill.
Oh yeah, oh, that's a deep cut. I feel like that's not what you usually hear.
I think I actually watched that one for the first time last year, and I fell in love with it. Like, I thought it was amazing.
Awesome.
So that did get me a little bit more intrigued to watch more anime, but at the same time, I am procrastinating like a son of a bitch on that shit. So.
It's easy to do. I mean, I will admit, when people start to talk about watching an anime series, like for example, I'm just about to start watching The Last Airbender, and I have not seen any of it. You're looking down the gun of a lot of hours to put in these series. Like Macross Plus. Love that. But it's a lot of hours to put in for it. So I can see people being hesitant. Whereas if I'm telling you to watch Perfect Blue, know that I ellipticaled the length of Perfect Blue. So you can, if I can work out the entire time the movie is playing, it's okay. You'll be able to watch it.
Right. But I mean, the only type of anime I've really gotten into is Pokemon. Like, that's my kind of anime. Because I grew up with it. Like,
absolutely.
I'm really like in the era that I grew up with Pokemon is the Kalos region, aka the XY series of Pokemon. Like that was my kind of Pokemon. Like that was like also like when I really started to get into the games. Like
yeah. So I have to admit, I'm just slightly too old for Pokemon. I'm aware of Pokemon. I've watched a little bit of it. I had to get into anime with things like Cowboy Bebop. There wasn't really like cute anime when I was getting into anime or children-centric anime, but I do love Ash Ketchum. Great character. The games are super fun too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you
I played a
a
lot of
red
the games growing
cartridge
up.
or a blue cartridge, I believe is the question, right?
Which one?
Red or blue? Basically, do you want to start with the squirting one or Charizard?
Probably Charizard. I wasn't like 1,000% sure for a second.
Yeah, I feel like Charizard versus, I believe it's Squirtle is the other option.
I think it's Charmander is the first one, and then Charmander versus Squirtle. There you go.
Squirtle, okay. I mean, if I could pick anyone, would pick Psyduck, the character who has psionic migraines. Come on. Love that guy.
I mean, they even did that character pretty well in the movie Detective Pikachu. They did it really well. Like even like when he exploded in the Torterra garden, just went kaboom. Like, and then Pikachu's like, "Good job, Psyduck. Where's my hat?"
I enjoyed that. I thought that was fun.
Like, I don't think that movie would have worked as well if you didn't have Ryan Reynolds be the voice of Pikachu.
Like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds can save a lot of things. I gotta say, that guy. I mean, he saved an entire football. Saved Wrexham. So
yeah, welcome to Wrexham. That documentary. Yeah. So
yes,
and it's got a couple more movies coming out this year that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, and the new John Krasinski movie that he's working with them on is called If. It stands for Imaginary Friends. So basically, it's Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, the movie. Basically,
I've heard a lot of people say it's basically just Foster's, which, you know, I guess fine, do it. I like him in just about everything. A lot of his films film in the Boston area, which means there's good background work. I did a lot of work on Free Guy. Like, hey, he brings work. I'm gonna watch it.
And I love Free Guy. Like that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Not gonna spoil it, in case if anyone is watching has somehow never seen it.
Just go watch it.
That cameo.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody in my theater lost it. Like,
yes.
Even I did. I fucking lost it.
That's exciting. I knew he was. I knew that was going to happen because I worked on the film, but that was fun.
I didn't even see that coming either. Like when a certain object comes into play, and then it cuts to a certain cameo, I'm like, what? It caught me so off guard.
Awesome. Oh, cool. Well, we got about 7 minutes left here. Any final questions before I do have to get off?
All right. Trying to think about that there for a second.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, we just want to make sure we end on a feeling of endedness. I don't want to end like it's Through the Spider-Verse and we're just like, boom, continued.
Like it's like, or it just goes like, to be continued.
Cut to black.
Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do that.
End it like it's a French film where it just ends in le film, and you have to figure out what it means.
Right. Yep. Okay, here's an interesting question. Okay, what is a popular movie that you have not seen?
Okay. I mean, we talked about so many of them. Like, I didn't see, I guess it's not popular, but it is popular to see. I haven't seen Madam Web. I haven't seen a lot of the Marvel movies because I got so toasty burnt by them being so questionable that I don't bother to see them. I did see all of Black Panther though. And I see like the first one, but once we start to get into like 2 or 3 of something, I have not seen it.
Fair enough on that one.
If they're very, very good, like Thor Ragnarok, I will go see it because people will tell me enough times and I'll get off my butt and I'll go see it.
Point taken.
Yeah. I'm not trying to miss them. I just need to be reassured. I've been hurt so many times in love with these movies that I just need to be told it's going to be okay.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know if this one's really that popular, but a lot of people, when it comes to sports movies, bring this movie up. Um, and some people are shocked that I have never seen it. Any Given Sunday.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it either.
I have never seen it. Like,
I thought you were gonna say like Field of Dreams or A League
no,
of
I've
Their
seen
Own
that.
or Hoosiers. They're like, what? Mighty Ducks. Like, all right. I feel like Any
There's
Given
no way. Like,
Sunday.
I've seen those classics because I grew up with those.
Yeah,
But but I think the one that really does come, like, besides that one, the one that really comes to mind for me is Howl's Moving Castle. Like, that one, people talk I've never seen.
Yeah, you should get on it. I think you will enjoy it. It's a whimsical one. Like on a cold Sunday, wrap yourself in a little papasan chair and put that on.
Yeah, I definitely need to give that one a watch. Oh, this one was an Oscar contender right here that I actually have not seen. Coda.
Ah, that filmed around here as well. That is a Massachusetts film, heavily filmed in this area. It is good.
Yeah. I need to see it because I know it won Best Picture and everybody's like, dude, you gotta watch Coda. I know, okay, jeez.
I'm gonna give you a cinematic hot take because I did like Coda, but there were two films that came out the same year that were about deafness. Coda was one of them, and the other was The Sound of Metal. And I liked The Sound of Metal just a bit more.
Sound of Metal is amongst my favorite movies of all time. Like, that
It's
is
so good. Riz Ahmed is transcendent. Did you see him in The Green Knight as well? I mean, I'll see him in anything at this point. He is such a good actor.
If you want a good Riz Ahmed performance before he did Sound of Metal, I highly recommend the HBO miniseries The Night Of.
I'm gonna say I saw that because it's got him in it. He's so good in it.
It's so good. Like, I just watched that last, like, a couple of years ago because I was on a show kick. Like, I was just watching random shows. I watched that one, and I was blown away with how good that was.
And Turturro also very good in that. I mean, he's a great actor, but he was very good in that.
And that's also one of those shows where it's like it's perfect that it's just one season and you're done. Like, you're not gonna go ahead and just be like, here, we got all of this story for multiple seasons. They got it for one singular season.
Yeah, like, the long form like miniseries is an art, and I think True Detective sometimes gets it and sometimes doesn't. But that one really was like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, it's like just one season and you're done, and we're not going to draw it out. We just have one story we're going to tell. We're going to tell it here. Done. Like, so.
And you get bigger actors who are willing to sign on to things like that, because actors aren't going to sign on to a project that's multiple years if they could do other movies instead. So you can get like a Riz Ahmed for a 3-month shoot.
Right, exactly. So you got that exactly on point there.
HBO knows that. They're getting that idea.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that'll about do it.
Awesome. This has been so fun. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Katie, for joining me here tonight. Thank you to everybody that came in the chat and supported here tonight. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks for all the subs, the follows. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I want in case if anybody doesn't know who you are, tell us where we can find you across social media. Let us know.
Absolutely. Movie Runtime is going to be the easiest way that you can find me. I'll be on TikTok under Movie Runtime. I'm on YouTube, Movie Runtime KT, the letters K and T, because Movie Runtime was taken. So you'll find my channel that way, and you can see my podcast that I'm on. You can also find my podcast on Apple or Spotify or hundreds of different ways that people listen to podcasts. It's called What If I Don't Like It? You can find me on Movie Night Extravaganza through my YouTube as well. The only thing that I am not Movie Runtime, which is even on Letterboxd, I'm Movie Runtime, is on Instagram. If you're finding me on Instagram, it's gonna be under Little Deadly Creature. So that probably the easiest way is to put Movie Runtime into TikTok, and you'll find my LinkedIn bio, and it'll show you all the other things. You can see the movie that I made, which is a short horror film. For those body horror people who were talking before, I made a body horror film that's about 32 minutes long, and it is available for free to watch on YouTube, called Girl in the Basement. Would love it if you checked it out and let me know what you thought. And I'm on an audio drama that you can listen to about a world in which superheroes actually exist, and little children ask to meet them, like they go make a wish, except that they start wanting to meet supervillains, and our protagonist works for the company hired to assign children to supervillains, and it's called Starwell Foundation. I play one of the supervillains. I play a Russian with telekinesis, and I also play the podcast host inside the podcast. There's a true crime podcast called How Crime, and I'm the host of that. So you can get me a bunch of different ways. You might accidentally see me walking through the background of a movie that you're watching if it filmed in the Boston area as well. So lots of fun things. That happened to me. I watched a movie where I forgot I was in it, and then 5 minutes in, I'm like, Jesus fucking back of my head, I know how this movie ends. I'm in it. Shit.
I can't seem to find it. Nope, right there.
Yep, that's wow. And it was like a mystery thriller too. So there was like a reveal, and I did stand in for the final scene, so I knew the reveal. I was like, shit. They don't have titles when I'm working on them, so I forget what they get called in the long run.
But yeah.
Right. That's a good note to end on.
There we go.
Right, guys.
But yeah, thank you to everybody so much for coming in here tonight. Please go subscribe to Katie, because she is a great content creator. Go check her out. And why not subscribe to me as well, because we're nearing it at 600.
Do it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all of that. Tap on that like button. And also, can't forget, if you guys want to keep up to date on these posts, on my videos, please make sure you tap on that notification bell, click on all, so that way you guys get notified.
Nice.
Never want to forget that. So thank you to everybody so much for joining us here tonight. We're going to get out of here. Thank you everybody so much for coming in. Have a good night. Peace.
Bye, guys. Peace.